place.
It evokes a lot of memories.
Bet it does.
Yeah, a lot of memories.
In 1982, David survived a missile attack while on board a converted civilian ship during the Falklands War.
So that's my life jacket.
The actual one, that is you.
That is me, yeah.
He's desperately searching for the crewmen who shared this experience with him to make sure they're not suffering in silence.
What about the rest of the boys that were involved with you? Did you talk about it at the time with any of them? Did you discuss it?
To know. Don't remember really having a sit-down conversation with anybody. We're talking 40 years ago now, and in those days, it was man up. You know, we don't talk about this sort of stuff, we just get on with it. Rather than show yourself as a weak person, you kept it to yourself and bottled it up. But it's so, so important to realise that it doesn't make you weak.
As survivors from the Atlantic Conveyor returned, for the lucky ones it was a reunion of simple relief and joy.
We landed at Brize Norton. We were told our families would be there waiting for us. And I remember my sister and my mum come running towards me, and I just picked them up, hugged them, took them both clean off their feet, and just hugged them. Didn't want to let go.
After returning from the Falklands, the men from David's squadron went their separate ways.
This is the medal. It's a bit battered now because it's quite old. We didn't have any emotional support for the conflict that we'd gone through. There was no support afterwards. You know, I went for many, many years with not being able to talk about anything that happened. I set up the SS Atlantic Conveyor Facebook page in an effort to try and bring people together and to give people a forum, which now has 80-odd members out of a ship's company of in the region of 150. It's been a good thing, therapeutic not just for myself but for others as well. Obviously not everybody's engaged with it, but yeah, there are people out there that I'd just like to talk to again. And maybe if they feel up to it, just to talk through their experience of that day. Do you want people to talk? I don't want people to sit and suffer in silence. We want to talk.
Now that we have a list of full names, David has made contact with Chris Howe from Summer 82, a charity supporting Falklands veterans.
I was very badly burnt. I had 27% burns.
Wow.
Chris was aboard HMS Coventry, which was bombed on the same day of the attack on the Atlantic Conveyor.
I woke up in the bomb gone off just below us and my arm was on fire. I used to have the same nightmare. I was in a burning haystack and I was on fire. But I learned to deal with that. Because of that, I feel I can help some of those that are still a bit lost.
I've trying to make contact with some of the lads from 845 Squadron with a limited degree of success through the Facebook page, but I was just wondering what sort of help Sama might be able to give in order to make some connection with these people again.
We can certainly go through the membership lists, but some might not be aware.
Yeah.
And some definitely will know about it, but want nothing at all to do with it.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful.
We have to respect that.
Yeah, because we don't want to face that. We might go in and do damage.
If Sama is able to assist in tracking them down, even just to let me know, you know, that they're fine, they're great, you know, don't want to be involved, but they're great, then that's cool as well.
We've got a few leads on the men David is looking for, but this is a very sensitive search. Speaking to David, the trauma of that event has long-lasting effects, and it's taken David over 30 years to be able to talk about it. So I need to understand how I can delicately approach veterans.
Here we have our occupational therapy centre. We've got a whole bank of poems here, for example.
What is PTSD? It is the night. It is forever dark. You're scared to sleep. You're scared to wake. That's so powerful.
It's very powerful.
Combat Stress is a charity providing mental health support for veterans.
Could you tell me a bit about how difficult it is, or someone who maybe fought in the Falklands, to just go back to normal?
I think probably you'll have heard that people who came back from the Falklands were just told to go away for 6 weeks and have a holiday or go home. It was as if it was brushed under the carpet. But there's a lot of dissociative post-traumatic stress disorder related to the Falklands.
What is post-traumatic stress disorder?
When we're exposed to something horrible, the mind suspends that operation and it only works to survive. But the rule is later on, the mind will have to file things away. So what happens then is we get nightmares and flashbacks, and then the body remembers as well, so we get palpitations and sweating. And then we learn the best way to cope with anything is to avoid any reminder or any interaction.
It just makes me wonder, having spoken to David, why he wasn't given any help.
At that time, there was little education from the medical profession, so their upbringing was just to serve and cope. And of course, if you ask for help, you're a wimp. So a lot of the Falkland veterans are hidden. They won't come forward, they can't come forward.
Do you think David being able to talk so openly about his experience could empower other men to want to come forward?
Yes, I think the more we normalise our terrible experiences, the better for everybody. And if we were able to confront what happened, our nightmares and flashbacks and re-experiencing symptoms would go away.
So we've gone through that list of names that David gave us and managed to get quite a few contact details. I can't stop looking at this photograph. All these faces smiling at the camera. But I know that they've all been through a deeply traumatic experience that only they know about. And in this photograph, they're this tight-knit band of brothers. But then they all just go their separate ways, and every man is left to fend for himself. And 40 years has passed. Maybe they can't talk to their loved ones, they can't talk to their friends. How do you deal with that? I don't know how receptive they'll be to wanting to talk about their experience.